Welcome back, everyone.
Hello,
to
everyone.
Another episode of Under the Geometry.
Under the Geometry.
Today, we're going to talk to our very special guest.
Guests.
Guests.
We have two guests
Yeah,
today.
we had two people kind of joining in there. Quick Freddy and the Doc.
Yes. Good friends of ours. And it was a blast recording.
Yeah.
Some really interesting conversation. and
We're going to cover a
quite
lot of
excited.
topics. Yeah, we're going to cover a lot of topics.
Yeah.
First off, we're going to start off in a little bit about Quick Freddy and his storytelling. And then we're going to move into the dogma and religion and spirituality and psychotropics.
Yep. Favorite topic.
Yeah, one of our favorites. And there's great commentary going back and forth. Great stories in there. I enjoyed the heck out of it.
Oh, no, me too. Definitely. It was really good.
Yeah.
Yep. So, how are you doing?
Good.
Good.
Hope everyone had a good week. We do have a few news things. I want to touch today on the NASA's M drive, which they just recently tested again in a vacuum. And for those of you who don't know what NASA's M drive is, it's a microwave ran thrust engine. And they use microwaves to blast into a frustrum or a cone shape. And this thing is creating thrust, which is very unusual. It kind of breaks the law of conservation of energy. Yes, or something like that. Anyways.
Yeah, you're more... I don't know.
Anyways,
physics, but
so the crazy part about this is they don't actually know how it works. There's a lot of scientists actually that were saying that was impossible. A lot of people poo-pooing it before it even was fully tested. But here it is. It's technology that could take us to the edge of the solar system really fast, and it doesn't require propellant. It would just be this microwave energy.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. And they're all up in arms of how this thing works. They're almost figuring it out, but you hear it here first. I figured out how it works.
Oh, do tell.
Yeah. It's actually really simple. What's happening is they're blasting the microwave energy into the frustrum. And there's an amplification of, there's a vibrational shape that comes off of this blasting, just like cymatics you'd see in. If you ever look up cymatics, you'll see a plate and they'll put salt on it, and then they'll send a tone through that plate, and the salt on the top of the plate will change to different symmetries and stuff.
I have seen that. We'll post a link of that on the...
For sure, yeah. So the same thing is basically happening to the microwave radiation, except instead of it being, first of all, the cymatic plate is just showing you a two-dimensional representation of a 3D thing that's happening. So it's usually a circle that's created, or a spherical kind of energy that comes off of it. So for the M drive, the microwave radiation coming off of it is creating the same type of circle, except the one side is squeezed by the frustrum, the cone of the engine. And because it's squeezed, it creates an asymmetry in that normally perfectly symmetrical shape. So it's the geometry. So when that geometry is affected, it creates thrust. Now, a good way to think about this would be to take a balloon and put it underneath a paper cup and turn the paper cup upside down on top of that balloon and blow up that balloon. Okay? When you blow up the balloon, the paper cup is going to lift because the inside is, the shape is changing. That's basically the same exact thing that's happening with the microwave radiation. Anyways, asymmetry is causing the thrust of the geometry, and there we go. just name drop geometry again.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
I like how you add that in there. We try to when we can.
Yeah. And that's that's my thing.
Sounds pretty cool.
That's my theory. Yeah.
The theory sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah. Actually, it looks like they're coming along. Like, I think that there's things saying that they've figured this out, and that's actually what's happening. But I thought of it first.
That's pretty cool. I remember you telling me this quite a while ago.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's it for news. We're going to keep it nice and short because this podcast is a little lengthy.
A little longer than the last one for sure.
But very entertaining nonetheless.
Yeah. I hope you guys enjoy it. Like I said, it was really fun recording. And so
we'll see you in there.
We'll turn it over to those guys now.
All right.
Welcome to Under the Geometry!
Geometry.
Geometry.
Geometric tree?
Is it pretty loud?
It's a little.
Sometimes, yeah.
You're spiking.
Yeah, but that I was leaning in.
All right.
I like to spike.
We're back for another episode. And with us here today is our good buddy, Quick Freddy.
Hello, thank you very much for having me on.
Yeah.
You are very welcome. Thank you
And
for coming on.
our special co-host, the Doc.
The Doc.
Hello, everybody. I was promised more naked ladies.
Yeah, there's not that many naked ladies around here. I'm sorry, man.
There are a lot less than it's actually zero.
There's actually negative naked ladies.
Actually, yeah, given our last episode, we are in a deficit, I think.
Deficit, yeah.
Yeah. So today we will be talking about paranormal stuff that we've run into. With our guests, we'll be talking about art. We'll be talking about religion,
Dogma.
and Dogma, which is seems to find a way to seep into everything.
It shapes people.
Yeah, even businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyways, how about we start off with Quick Freddy? Can you give us a quick introduction?
Yeah, I am Quick Freddy. I am... How do you give an introduction anonymously?
Yeah.
I am an ethereal spirit, an artistic one. I delve into the universal pools of storytelling, using images and words mixed together in a sequential format to tell most of my stories. So that's a fancy way of saying comics.
Right on.
And basically what I try to do with some more personal stories is integrate some of my experience and some of the stuff I've gone through and make it more of a cathartic process so that I'm not just telling stories that are one-note jokes or high concept, this meets this, but trying to integrate a little bit more of my personal experience and the journey that I've gone on into those stories. Mm-hmm. And that's my attempt now. I didn't do so much when I was younger.
And how it's like kind of formed your personal philosophy and
exactly.
Yeah.
And hopefully telling people that philosophy through the story. So as opposed to like preaching and smacking people with the cold fish, you're telling a really entertaining story with maybe a few things here and there that actually touch people or that people can relate to.
Yeah.
Is that something that's hidden, or is that something that's like surface level? So you read it and you're like, oh, okay, I understand what you're saying, or do you dig back later, like your viewer or the audience would like read back later and be like, oh, there's a little hint of something here?
I think it depends on the story, but I think ideally you want to tell a good story first and foremost, and then if you can integrate those little bits of philosophy, those little personal discoveries into it, you're just increasing the odds that you're going to be able to relate to one or many of the readers.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So, tell us about your story process. Like, how do you go from? What do you get inspiration from? Like, give us an example of a personal experience that laid out into a story for you.
Sure. One thing I find interesting is there's a story I've been working on for nearly a decade, and when I first came up with this story, this happens a lot actually, is I have this cache of stories I haven't told yet, maybe about 10 of them, and when I first came up with them, it was very archetypal, very kind of high concept stuff, and only I realized the idea wasn't quite gelling with me because it was missing something, so I put them in the archive. And as I went through life learning things, fucking up, making my mistakes, I would realize that certain little lessons I had learned worked with one of those stories. So I would pull that story out of the vault, throw my lessons into it, and all of a sudden it became something special and something that meant something to me, which helped that story take another turn and go into a better place. And the main one I'm working on now is just like that. And I've really been enjoying working on it.
Yeah. So what would that experience be? Like how did it, like, can you give us the exact example or?
Sure.
Or, yeah.
It probably like segues into the main topic of the cast anyway, for my reason being here.
Absolutely.
Basically.
Good pull, sir.
No?
What's that? Good pull. Alternate name for the podcast. Welcome to the Good Pull.
Good pull, yeah.
Basically, I was raised like super religious, and it dominated my life for like 18 years, and I really had given myself to it wholeheartedly. That was my family, that was my community. I loved them, they loved me, that was my world. And then on being excommunicated from that, I was sort of this lost fellow who had to find my own place in a new world, had to find my own new family and new friends to accept me for who I was and kind of help me to understand where I was supposed to go from here. So the story I'm working on is very much about a group of people who were part of something special, and all of a sudden they realized they didn't belong there, and they were also kicked out of it. They're outcasts with nowhere to go, and the only way that, and they're faced with a choice now of what they're going to do. Are they going to pitch themselves off a fucking roof? Or are they going to try to fake their way back into this community? Or are they going to try to make a community of their own and make themselves happy on their own terms? Which seems like an obvious answer, but it's not one we all come to right off the bat.
Mm-hmm. Crazy, that's cool. Yeah. So, which religion were you a part of, or was it a Christianity, or?
Yeah, it was Christian. It was Jehovah's Witnesses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about the Jehovah's Witness and some of the things that maybe when you were in the thick of it that you thought maybe were strange or you thought were just kind of like off or weird for people to be doing?
Like weird that Jehovah's Witnesses did? Like it struck me as odd?
Yeah, just your religion in general. Like, I mean, I know we had some. The doc and I had actually went to church together, and we kind of experienced this a same kind of thing. Not probably to the same like emotional level that you did, but we were part of a non-denominational church. Yeah. And it was, it got very, what would you say?
Denominational.
Denominational.
What is that?
Wait, explain that kind of for us.
Non-denominational means it's not Catholic, it's not Baptist, it's not, it's more it's like along the lines of evangelical. So it's not, but they really don't like to put a denomination on it. So like they don't want to put you into a certain category, and so non-denominational was open to new experiences or new revivals or anything that was coming through.
So like a more modern.
Yeah, it was
with a looser grip.
Right.
Yeah,
so less strict.
In theory.
Yeah, there was no not much in the way of dogma. Really not that much in the way of religion either. If we're speaking about how people show up and they have to do some kind of ceremony, or they have to.
Everyone was allowed to have their personal experience.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah.
Especially to start.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like sacraments and stuff. Like you didn't like.
No, nothing like that. No.
Sounds kind of nice.
It's unspecific.
Yeah.
Specifically unspecific.
Yeah.
What's the term for that? Is it unifaith or like?
Yeah.
No, I can't.
They call it. It's supposed to be called non-denominational, actually. Okay. Yeah, and that's how they identify as well. But we were like, I mean, with any other kind of unit like that or religion, you can still run into, people getting in the way of what the real messages are usually about. And that's one of the biggest things we run into is
people thinking other people should be doing it.
There's always those soldiers, right, that like want to enforce
rules that don't exist.
Yeah.
It's like missing. Well, I mean, it was pretty like they even though it was a normal, non-denominational church, there was some pretty disgusting stuff that happened. And
Was it monotheistic? Like,
oh yeah, for sure, yeah.
and they believe like heaven and hell stuff.
It's Christianity basically.
Yeah, it's just one of the zillion sects that they have.
And we had baptisms, and we had
interesting. Okay.
we had what is it called? Communion.
Yeah.
But those were basically the only two things. And then when Easter came along, we'd do Easter themed service or Christmas themed, and
Is it all based off of the
Super
King
depressing
James
fucking.
version?
Yeah.
Translation.
Did you do like the Stations of the Cross? How fucking morbid that was.
No,
Oh no.
nothing like that.
Did they have a cross as their symbol for the
Oh, yeah.
non-denominational? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Interesting.
That's all the same.
Was there like a game room and stuff in the basement?
There was no basement, but
What happened in the basement?
go on.
I'm excited to get to Chloe.
yeah. This
Like
is
a George
interesting.
Clooney game
No.
room. in the basement.
I remember I used to like go to a friend's like I think it was like a Mormon church, and we just go and play floor hockey the whole time. So I was like all up. I was like, "Shit, this is awesome."
I wish I was a
That would
Mormon.
be that would be a lot of their masses would be like a bit of a mass or something, and then after that they just got to hang out in the game room, play floor hockey, and I was like, I can get into this.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we didn't have. We had a youth group.
The Mormon Sunday school had like a gym and all that stuff.
Yeah.
They
I
have
didn't
cool
think
shit.
nothing of it until you said it. It was, oh yeah.
Like board games.
Yeah.
Someone
all
had
the time,
sleepovers and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had like
In the gym,
we could
yeah.
go into their, and we didn't even have to be a member. Like me and my buddy would go upstairs, and they had like foosball table, ping pong, and like a whole gymnasium down below, and yeah, they knew
It's insane.
they had lots of money.
We didn't have. Our church didn't have money.
No, it was a rented room, and then they built one finally, and
Yeah.
they had more stuff then. But
It was in a hotel room.
Oh yeah, well, pretty much. It was like made out of an old garage or something like that. I don't even know.
How
It
big
became
was
a
it?
bottle depot after we moved.
Yeah, really? That's how high class it was. Yeah, it was basically just carpeted over cement and a few chairs and painted wall, and that's it. Yeah.
Contrast.
Yeah.
Quick, Freddy, how was your experience?
Yeah. Tell us more like about like the Jehovah Witness practice, because I've heard like some weird stuff, and I don't know whether or not like I want to know if that's like they do. Mormons do weird stuff where they
Blood sacrifice.
where they like have cloths.
Oh no, wait, Mormons. No, Mormons don't do any of that.
No, so
Just joking.
Honestly, I don't think there's anything that struck me as really weird. Like,
Go fucking.
there's no goat fucking, there's no goat sacrifices, none of the fun stuff. It's pretty standard.
Why? Yeah, why'd you go?
boring.
Yeah, but I mean, there was a lot at church. So like, there'd be Tuesday, there'd be like a small like hour Bible study in someone's house, and then a Thursday there'd be like a 2-hour one in the big Kingdom Hall, which is what they call the churches. And then on Saturday, usually you'd go preaching for a couple hours, and then on Sunday you go and do another 2-hour thing. So that's like 2, 4, 6. It's at least 7 hours a week. Doing it, and that's like bare minimum. And they're like, you can do bare minimum, but you can always do more, right?
You can wear more pieces of flair.
Hey, dude, it's all pieces of flair.
It also
Yeah.
sounds
Oh,
like
man.
that's
Is that a good-
perfect.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
it
man.
also sounds like Scientology in that way too.
Yeah.
It's
It's
like, I don't
oh, you
have to
can do
wear
this,
more
but-
pieces of flair, but it's just better.
Yeah. Oh God, that's perfect. Yeah. So yeah, and they have the big Kingdom Hall. It doesn't look like a regular church, with the exception of like ours had like a stained glass piece of work. But it's all pretty light and decent chairs, and Everybody's wearing the suit and tie and the dresses and shit. And then, yeah, you'd sing your songs, you'd have your talks. The one thing I think that distinguishes the Jehovah's Witness from a few is there's two things. One of them is like part of their philosophy is that there's no hell, which is kind of cool. So I don't have a fear of hell burned into me, which is awesome. But the other thing is they're next to the Mormons. They're the religion that people know comes to their door, and so they put a lot of effort into training their people into being good at talking to people at the door. So ever since I was little, Tuesday's usually the day that they train people. And ever since I was little, maybe when I was 7 years old, I think, they would teach us how to speak in front of people. So when I was 7, they gave me a theme. They gave me 5 minutes, and I had to go in front of the entire congregation and do a talk on a theme and a Bible passage. And after that was done, in front of everybody, they'd be like, well, this was your theme, and the thing you had to focus on was gestures this week. And they would not criticize, they would criticize, but very gently, very nicely.
Like right down to like body language.
Yep.
Wow.
Gesturing. The next time I had to do it, maybe a month later, it was focusing on emphasis. And then the next month after that, I had to focus on using metaphors. So what they did from a very young age is they trained me to be a public speaker, to be a teacher, so that when I went door to door, I'd be more effective at getting someone's attention and bringing them to the Bible, and then bringing them to the Kingdom Hall, and then making more.
They were making you into a soldier.
Yeah, they made me a soldier, man.
I'm a soldier.
You got some good skills out of it, because definitely that translates into you're like a good public speaker now, and you're comfortable. You seem like most people, when they try and deliver an idea in front of people, they forget what the hell they're talking about or freak out. Myself included. Oh, they can hear me. I saw the levels. And that doesn't seem to happen to you. Like, you seem to be quite confident, and you can form sentences and get the point across very nicely.
Yeah. And that's all them.
Yeah,
Like,
Quick Freddy can do full sentences.
yes.
It's not easy for everyone.
But that was all training, man. Like,
So did you have any crazy experiences while you were going door to door, I guess?
I was terrified all of the time, especially when we went to the country, because I'm such a city boy, and we would go out to the country, and I'd be walking through the lawn, and it'd be like, this one guy had like a cow skull in his lawn, and all these beat out junker cars, and everything was filthy, and he'd open the door, and he's just this old man, and everybody would tell me like, oh, we've answered him before, so we go and try it. and I'm at the door, and every time we did stuff in the country, I look over at the shed or at the barn, and I knew that today was the day they were going to drag us out there and murder us. Like, I was so fucking scared every time I did it. But yeah, the guy opened the door, and he just looked at me, and I started like, hello. Oh, fuck. Hello.
That's a name drop.
My name is Quick Freddy.
God damn it. What kind of name is that, boy? You some kind of...
My God. You know, and this is where we're asking people, like, when do you think God's kingdom will arrive? And the guy just looks at me, he's like, scram. I was like, okay. And I left, and I was just glad that I didn't get murdered. And,
Did they criticize you after?
My compatriots?
Yeah.
No.
They're like, oh.
No. They were like, oh, good job. You went up and you did it. That's good. So yeah, nothing crazy. Like, some people get yelled at, some people get assaulted. Like, you never know what's behind that door. And I remember one time my mom and dad went into one call, and they were like, oh, we're going to be back in a few minutes. And they left me and my brother and my sister in the car. And an hour went by, and I was sure that they had been murdered.
Oh my God.
And so I was opening the window of the car. Like, I was just a scared kid. I don't think this has anything to do with anybody else. And I was yelling out the car window like, Mom, Dad, if you're still alive, answer! And I was hitting my head against the seat of the car.
Oh yeah,
I was
could
sure
you
they
shoot
were
a
dead.
text message or anything like that back
No, this is
then?
before cell phones, my friend.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways.
Oh, that's horrible.
I got
That
off
sounds
topic.
really weird.
But that's a completely personal, neurotic fear thing. But
I actually
yeah.
had one.
I mean, they were
one
fine.
question about that.
Yeah.
Was that effective? Like, how many times were you actually able to recruit
Yeah, that's a
people
good question.
into the Kingdom Hall from those meetings? Like, was it older people that just were kind of like, maybe they lost a loved one or something like that, and they'd be more
Looking for answers.
Yeah, looking for answers or looking for company, kind of
comfort.
Like that's what a lot of times happens. I find is like older people start going to church more when they're like someone's passed away, and then they kind of flock to that community sort of.
I don't really know if I succeeded in doing that for anybody. Like, I do remember a few return visits, which is what they call them, where I would go back, and it felt like all they wanted was just somebody to talk to. Like, I would try to bring them back to the Bible, bring them back to the literature, and they would just, like, talk about other stuff. Like, they just really wanted somebody to talk.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So it would be
one lady especially was just talking about her daughters all the time, and they never hung out with her.
Right. That I can see that.
Yeah. And, yeah, I mean, my mom and my dad had a few people who would join who... were part of other religions, or they had nothing, or they had really shitty ways of life, and coming into the congregation really helped them to center things and get cool with it and just be happy with who they were. Like, I mean, I don't think it's always negative, but yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like if it helped you, I don't care what it is. Like, as jaded as I might be towards the whole experience and towards that particular time in my life, I think if you find something that really centers you and gets you doing good things and makes you happy, then fucking all the power to you. But what I don't get behind is the hypocrisy and the brainwashing and all the other bullshit that you can put the young ones through. Yeah.
Well, you don't give them a choice, right?
Exactly.
They're
You don't give
born
them a
into
choice.
whatever their parents believe in. It should be something that's decided, like, when you're older.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Although, from what I've experienced, to me, I'm kind of happy that I went through religion, because it made me realize that, like, because other people might go through as not knowing religion, and then later in their life something will happen, and then they'll be kind of converted due to that, and they won't know, or they'll be like, I feel like I'm missing something, let's try this out. Whereas right now, because I was born into it and I brought up, I already know, like, at this point that it's not for me. And so I can make a decision based on that.
What were the rules like for Jehovah's Witnesses, as far as like how you were supposed to run your life, and is it like no caffeine or
Caffeine's fine. We drink a lot of that.
Okay.
I mean, you could even drink booze, but you can't get drunk.
Oh.
So no drunk. The typical stuff.
That must be really hard to...
that rises the edge pretty good.
Yeah, especially because, like, the first time I had one beer, I was drunk, and I was like, shit!
I broke the rule!
I'm going to hell. Oh, wait, there is no hell.
I'm not drunk. I can walk in a straight line.
Wait,
I'm okay. Don't take me.
Okay, that brings me back to the other question is, can you explain why there is no hell in the Jehovah's Witness?
I think it all goes back to... The scripture they would always bring it back to was God is love. And so they couldn't understand or foresee or comprehend a God who would create an eternal suffering, no matter how bad you were. And that's pretty good. But, and I think there were other scriptures and stuff as well that mentioned, like, things like Lazarus being in fire and stuff. They were like, oh, that's all metaphor. But there's no literal description of hell in the Bible. So even when they say the word hell or Hades, it's always like a translation from a Greek word that means the place of death or something, but there's never any actual place of eternal torment.
Right.
The lake of fire and such just signifies death. Because in their mind, there's going to be a future paradise earth, which is where we will live.
So they believe it's Earth. Or
Yeah,
you believe
Earth will be
Sorry,
paradise.
not you anymore, but they
Yeah.
believe that it was Earth. It becomes a paradise.
So Earth, a paradise where you live forever, would be your reward, and the punishment is hell, which is just death, no coming back.
So you just don't get to live out
Exactly.
in the kingdom.
Yeah.
Is that like,
but no
is
eternal
that
suffering.
heaven then? That's termed heaven? Or is that...
We're getting to the nitty gritty of the details here, but their belief was that there was a paradise Earth where everybody went, except for 144,000 special chosen people who went to heaven. And that
Those guys
number
got the seat right away.
Yeah, those are people who just knew that they were. That is strange. Yeah.
Were those people
Very
that you went to
strange,
church with?
I remember one lady specifically, because we had heard about the 144,000. Apparently, all of them had to be alive or born by 1914 or something. Like, there's this weird, fucked up math that starts all the way back into Revelation or something.
That
And they
just throws the whole thing
I know.
right into question.
And there was one lady, and there's one ceremony that Jehovah's Witnesses do once a year called the Memorial, where you reenact the Final Supper. So we pass unleavened bread, and they pass wine, And the only people who ever partake are 144,000 people who know that they are one and they're going to heaven when they die, whereas everybody else is staying on the paradise earth. And I saw the lady eat once, and I was like, whoa, that's crazy.
So, are there only like just a few of the people then that might be at the church at that time that might be one of those 140?
Well, it's 144,000 from like 1914 to now, like.
So that's not very many.
So there's
people
not that
left.
many
Not a lot
people
of
left
people.
now.
And most of them, the understanding is
Right.
that most of them were already dead.
So this lady was
And in
pretty old
heaven.
then?
Yeah, she was old for sure.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So I wonder if she's kind of like excited. She's just like, yeah, boy,
I
I'm
don't know.
getting in there.
I always thought it would be cooler to live on a paradise earth forever, because they said all the animals would be nice and they wouldn't be carnivores anymore. So my dad would be always like, don't you want to pet lions? Anytime I wouldn't behave, he's like, don't you want to go in paradise and pet lions? I was like,
Really?
fuck, yes, I do want to pet
That's
lions.
that's a way of fucking tricking.
Yep.
Did he use that when you were leaving? He was like, hey, man.
No. When
pet
I was
lion.
leaving, he was like, you want to die with the rest of them. That
A little bit more.
That was more intense.
He was
Oh
bringing out
my
the
God.
card a little bit more. So you're just a pet lion. That didn't work anymore.
Don't you want to pet the lions? Yes! I want to pet the lions.
Okay, wait. Well, hold on a second. So something about that. The 144,000
Yep.
went to heaven,
Mm-hmm.
not on Earth.
Right.
Okay. So
The others go to paradise earth.
Can you can you move from one place to another at a certain point, or they're just always up in heaven? They're like the angels then? They
Yeah, I
become
guess
angels?
so. Like, it didn't get too detailed, but the assumption was that they went to heaven, they stayed in heaven.
Oh my god,
We were
so
on Earth,
bizarre
they
how religions just have these little extra things.
Yeah. Oh, that stuff got. I remember there were a few times we would sit down and they were like, "All right, we're going to describe the math of how we came to this conclusion." And those days were just like, boom. And how they came up with the date of 1914. Like 1914 is a super important date for them because that's the year when they think a battle happened in heaven and Satan was sent down to Earth for the first time, and that's why World War I happened.
Well,
The first
1914 is the year that the Federal Reserve took over for the states. So in a way, yes,
one
a
kind
big
of
year.
Satan.
it was a big year.
Big year for Earth.
So they don't believe that like Satan was like tormenting Jesus like during like when he was in the desert and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that's real. Yeah, they believe that.
Well, then he would have come down to Earth, wouldn't he?
Well, in 1914 he came down to Earth.
So
Well,
wait,
no, was cast down to Earth and couldn't come back to heaven.
So Satan, what is Satan? I guess in the religion then.
I mean, he's a real dude,
So Satan is
and he
still
exists. Like they do believe he's a real dude.
So he doesn't dwell in hell then. He dwells
No.
on earth.
Yes.
Where? That's I was gonna ask that. Yeah,
And that's why Earth is so
raises
fucked up.
an interesting. So this is hell. What we're living on. then.
Essentially, this is hell.
This is like purgatory,
Which I think
or
is
not
pretty
purgatory,
cool.
but some kind of tormenting.
It's not that bad.
This is hell. You're doing pretty good.
It's not that hot.
Yeah.
Not in Canada.
Not in Canada. Yeah, in Calgary, it's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So like Satan then
Seven.
is,
I used to refer me and the girl. We used to hate Calgary because we'd come up for concerts and stuff. And
You
there'd
son
always
of a
be something that would happen, like some kind of traffic issue, some issue with not being able to get into the concert, even though we had tickets and we got there early. We used to refer to Calgary as the seventh circle of hell, which is like the Frozen's world, right? In hell. So I'd always be like, fuck, we're going to the seventh circle.
At least now you know it's Edmonton.
I have changed my opinion. Although we had a pretty good time in Edmonton.
A great time in Edmonton.
But,
You can have a great time in
you
the
can have a
seventh
good
circle of
time in
hell.
the seventh
Yeah.
circle of hell.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe, as long as you
Go
to West Ed Mall and you're okay. Stay in the mall and you're good.
Do some
don't go
drugs.
downtown.
Yeah. So Satan lives on Earth.
Yeah.
Does he have like demons? Like what's the demon?
Yeah, they do believe in demons, which
They
scared the
believe in
shit out of me.
demons.
And people would have demon experiences.
Oh,
They would
what?
share them
course,
with
they
me,
always
yeah.
do, right?
Whoa, do they have exorcists?
No,
They don't.
no.
So they believe in demons
How do they deal
and
with
demon
demons?
possession?
Don't believe in possession.
Okay.
No.
I was gonna say, how could you not like? How could you have a construct and then no answer? Like no.
Yeah.
kind
Well, the
of-
answer was there's obviously something you're fucking up. You're doing something wrong. If you have demons, you invite demons in your house.
So there's no saving you.
They're saving you.
You just gotta go to church a
What
lot.
would be considered letting demons in?
Heavy metal.
There we go.
Right there.
Okay, what
I
else?
swear to God, in one of these giant conventions they had every summer, where they rent out the Saddle Dome, they told true stories. Where they were like, I I was into heavy metal, and I was really into it. And one day when I came home, all of the CDs were aligned on my floor in a pentagram. And everyone was like, "Oh my god!"
Oh my god!
This is awesome.
Thank you! Just looking around.
Did I take acid before?
I remember my dad was like not big into heavy metal at all, and he would always just be like, "Oh, that guy's Satan. That Marilyn Manson, he's a Satan worshiper. He popped his eyeball out with the spoon and
And he took his ribs out so he could suck his own dick.
Yeah, everyone heard that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I remember this one day just listening to Cradle of Filth, just blasting it just to piss my dad off, and he's coming downstairs and he's like, "What are you doing? That's Satan music." And I was like, holy shit, man. Like, at first there was kind of like an allure to it because it was like something that I couldn't listen to, and I was like, just kind of, let's see how long I can listen to this before it scares the shit out of me, and like a back. And then I'm like, no, this is pretty good. And then I got to go around.
That's how you got into it. Because you were told not to listen.
Pretty much. I was
Like
I mean,
anything.
like anyone else, like I was oppressed, and so like cultism and like Satan and all that stuff, like it's alluring to me, and it's I find it interesting because we were oppressed with it for so long.
Yeah.
That's why I'm
So
such a
scary.
big fan of horror.
Yeah.
It's because it still feels taboo.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
32 and it still feels taboo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, what else would open you up to demons then?
Simple stuff. Like, I remember I was playing a video game once called Star Ocean. And all of a sudden, there was one scene where it's like, you're attacked by monsters. Monsters are fine. And then it said, and demons. And I was like, the moment it said demons, I was like, I have to throw out this video game. Like, I was so terrified because I'd heard a few other demon stories. Basically, anything that mentions demons, like horror films, absolutely, magic, anything like that,
Harry
supernatural, ghost stories, Harry Potter, Disney movies. One guy was telling me, like, Disney movies are bad. There's so much magic in them. So, I swear to God.
There's so much magic. Yes, sir. They call it the Magic Kingdom, actually.
It has nothing to do with that the parents are all killed off, but it's magic.
Yeah.
There's no magic in religion.
No, there isn't.
There is so much magic in religion.
They call it miracles, man.
Yeah, I know.
Not magic.
Like all their sacraments. And
No.
Moses.
Did they believe?
Moses had miracles. His the prophets of Pharaoh had magic.
Exactly.
Right. Did you ever do like First Communion? Was that part of the thing, like eating the Eucharist?
They don't have stuff like that.
They don't have stuff like
No.
that.
The only thing they have is, like I said, the memorial where they do that. And then the one thing you can do is baptize yourself. And that's when you have to choose when. So you have to dedicate yourself to God in your prayers, in your head. Then you tell the elders in the congregation. And then they talk about it. Those are the old white men. If they say yes, then you can get baptized. And then at one of the big assemblies or conventions, like at the Saddle Dome, they have a pool in the middle. And then they get baptized. And then,
Does
I
someone
did that.
baptize you? You baptize
Somebody does that to you.
Dunk you.
Yeah, they dunk you. And I did that when I was 15.
I was gonna say the age. So is that like a typical age, or is that just like?
It's all over the map. Usually, if you're raised in the religion, you get baptized pretty young.
Yeah,
Because you start
yeah.
to feel the pressure. Like, why haven't... I swear to God, there was a talk that says, why haven't you been baptized yet?
Yeah.
What's holding you back? And now if I think about, like...
trust this kid.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
hasn't put water on his head
But this
yet.
is the loophole. Like, I've had family members who never got baptized, and they did stuff against the church, but because they never got baptized, they were never officially members. So they can still talk to their family members who are Jehovah's Witnesses. But because I got baptized, I got that on me officially, I officially got disfellowshipped, which means my family is not allowed to talk to me. Now, if I had just staved that off and not baptized myself, I could still talk to my uncles and cousins and aunts.
What?
But because I took that step,
Yeah.
I made it official, which means I officially was kicked out, which means I can't officially talk to them. Which is fucking
Weird.
loophole.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. They should tell you that before you get baptized.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, like
By the way,
be like, hey, hey man, we recommend this plan. You got this plan here.
yeah, they never told me that. They never told me that.
This plan's off the table. You can't get into heaven anymore, so
Yeah,
just forget that plan.
This one sucks. We're getting rid of this plan in the next couple years anyways.
If you take this insurance, it'll cover you for this.
Yeah.
Exactly. If you give me $500 right now, I'll make sure that you can always come back.
Yeah.
At least get into
I'll talk to the
paradise.
elders. I'll make it good.
Yeah.
So
Good word.
tell us then about how you got excommunicated. How did that happen?
Basically, I got a job at Blockbuster Video, and I started to make friends
It
for
was
the
the
first
movies.
time. It was the movies that
And all the
tainted me.
demons.
The movies and demons
The back room.
And
where
comic
you could
books.
get
And comic
adult
books.
material.
in the back room. Actually, there was
they
no
have
porn
back
at
room?
Blockbuster. No, Blockbuster apparently.
I don't think Blockbuster did
they
have
didn't
porn.
have porn.
Anyways.
But I started to make friends, and these were friends who were called worldly. Like anybody, if you have a friend as a Jehovah's
Non-religious.
Witness who is not a Jehovah's Witness, it's worldly, and you're encouraged to always stand apart from anybody else.
That doesn't make any sense. What if you're trying to witness to them?
You can witness, but don't be friends with them.
That makes no sense.
I know.
See, from my perspective,
Tactically, it makes no sense.
tactically, yeah.
Wait, what's
Well, no,
the-
tactically it makes sense if you pretend to be their friend.
I just realized
That's
your
just
shirt. That's pretty good. What's the oh fuck.
You're editing.
That's
cut out
all
for you.
laugh.
Another name drop.
Good old Phil.
Yeah. Jess just said they weren't a witness, or you weren't a witness to them. Like, so that's in the name. What Jehovah's Witness. What does that entail? Like,
Oh, to witness
Go
means
that
to
way.
preach.
Well,
To
that's
witness
when
is
they
to
go
see
door to
something
door.
and
Yeah.
talk to people about it. So
Yeah.
a witness isn't just someone who sees. A witness is someone who sees and tells.
Oh, okay.
So their notion is
Gotcha.
Jehovah's Witnesses. They've witnessed, or they've seen what Jehovah's is capable of, or what he believes, or what he wants you to believe, and then you tell
Right.
everybody.
So, like you said, you keep your distance from
Yes.
worldly people
Yeah,
because
they will
can,
taint
They
you.
can, yeah.
It's about the taint.
It's all about the taint.
Yeah, just as I've always told you.
You have on numerous occasions.
Phil dropped his.
I don't even know why I said my name.
Okay, so you're working on Blockbuster.
Yeah.
You started getting into a bad crowd.
Yeah, which I realized they were a good crowd. They were good people. And I eventually started dating a girl who was a really good person. And I started to realize that these people who we're supposed to be afraid of were actually good. And even though they believed different things, it didn't make sense to me that they would get killed by God because they didn't believe it.
Yeah, and it comes back to that point. If you believe there is no hell in your religion, and that's based off of the scripture that says God is love, then why does that not apply to other people?
Yes, if that scripture should be taken for everything that it is.
Yes.
God is love.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
that was always the biggest thing for me to get my head around.
What's that?
God is love.
Oh,
Like,
but it's also hypocritical and
Yeah.
like if God is love, but then
as
the
Hitchens
dudes are
says,
never.
God is a tyrant.
Or, like,
Yahweh was.
Yahweh was.
Yeah. Old
if
Testament
God
God.
knows he's God, he doesn't need us to tell him he's God.
Yeah, absolutely. Why be jealous? God
Would
is
be
a jealous
worried.
God. We would say
He's
that
like,
as
I
well.
don't care.
Yeah.
You a good dude? Yeah. Cool.
Right on.
That's all it should be.
Have a seat.
That's
We
essentially
have free will
Don't
because
be a
the
dick.
boss says so.
Thank you.
Anyways,
So-
go on.
Sorry. So yeah, start to like these people. God was gonna kill her. Then my mom got kicked out for reasons.
Why did your mom? Do you want?
Oh, because she was smoking, and smoking's bad. I forgot to mention that.
Okay, so that's one
You
of the
can't
like
smoke,
rules.
yeah.
What happens
Yeah.
if you get drunk? That's
You
bad,
can
or
get drunk
you a
every
demon
once in a
in
while,
you?
but no, there's no demon in you. He's
The
got a demon
No,
inside.
but the
him!
demons exist. So do they
Demons
come out?
exist, but only if you have like demon shit around your house, not if you get drunk.
So like idols, like worshiping a false idol kind of thing.
We have false idols, video games, movies, music that talk about Satan and demons and stuff. That's bad news bears.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
So yeah, my mom got kicked out for smoking, and then my brother got kicked out because he wasn't going to tell anybody he couldn't make out with girls. He was always the rebel. And then after they got kicked out, and I kept giving talks and stuff in the congregation. And I remember this one time specifically when I just knew everybody was looking at me and going, he's next. He's going to get kicked out next. He's done. And I went and I gave a talk, and I was talking about strengthening your faith and this and that, and I just looked at this face of people looking at me, and I thought they were all like, you hypocrite, you're leaving, we know you're next, and I just felt like a total bag of shit, and I went and I sat down on my chair, and my dad leaned over and he was like, was that talk for you just as much as it was for everybody else? And I was like, yeah. And I went to the bathroom and I looked at my face in the mirror and I smacked myself super hard. And then I did it again, and like I had fucking tingles from my head to my toes. So I smacked myself so hard, and I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And I went back and I calmly sat down in my chair and I watched the rest of the church. And then my sister looked at me and she was like, oh, what happened to your face? And I was like, what? And she's like, your face is all red. And I was like, oh. And my dad looked at me and he's like, oh my God, you got terrible razor burn. And that was the last one I was at. After that, I couldn't go back.
But at that point, were you not able to communicate with your brother and your mom then?
Technically, not.
Did they do the baptism?
Yeah, because they both got baptized, yeah.
Oh,
Was
so
your sister-
technically you were not.
Was your sister also excommunicated? Or
No, she never got baptized. Smart cookie.
Yeah. Right on.
Yeah.
And she just left the church then.
Yep, she did leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did that process work? Like, how does excommunication go?
Well, yeah.
Because it's got to be like, if you've broken rules, there has to be some kind of acknowledgement by the church.
Yeah,
In
they
order
read
to-
it.
Is it like a
They read it
hearing?
out in front of everybody
In front of everybody.
at the congregation. Yeah. So I had to hear my mom get. I had.
Oh, what?
They said
that's
this person has been disfellowshipped,
brutal.
and then you hear the entire congregation let out a breath of air and then look at you, and then a few
Oh
months
my
later
God.
they say my brother's name in church and say he's been excommunicated, disfellowshipped, and everybody breathes out a sigh of air and they look at you, and that's why I started to feel like I fucking know that this is coming for me. Yeah.
How often did that happen when you just went to church, like on a regular basis?
No, it
Would
doesn't
that-
happen
It
very
didn't happen very often.
No.
It wasn't like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
kind of like.
I mean, like, smart. I don't know if this is smart or cowardly, but when I think about it sometimes, I'm like, why don't you just fucking stop going and not talk to anybody and not talk about disfellowshipping or this and that? I think it's because I was scared of my dad. But, I mean, I could have just stopped going and not talk to anybody. But what I felt I had to do was talk to the elders and tell them what I was going through and see what they had to say about it. And that was one of the worst moments of my entire life, because you get put before this communal of 4 white guys, 4 old dudes, who ask you what you're going through, what you've done with your girlfriend, in sickening detail, and then, yeah, like call you things. And so yeah, I had to tell these guys that, you know, I didn't think my friends or my girlfriend deserved to die, and I didn't think it was fair that God was going to kill my mom and God was going to kill my brother. And they said I knew better than God, and that made me an apostate, which is the worst thing that they could possibly say. Like, that was the biggest enemy of God, is an apostate. And so I started crying right then, because I was like, I'm not an apostate. I just don't think, I'm just sad that God's going to kill my family. Like, that's
Outrageous.
Have
Yeah.
some empathy.
You should
For
not
the
Yeah.
child
feelings.
before you.
Yeah, the child.
Assholes.
Absolutely. I was 18. My brother was 16 when he was going through this, and he had to go through it as well.
Very good with their soldiers.
No, they shit on their soldiers. But that's for a later point. But they created a soldier, and then they put him out into the world. You know, and he's still ready to believe, and he's still ready to preach, but it's not going to be for them. It's going to be for the other team.
Suck it, assholes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, these old guys, yeah, they cut me
You
down.
could almost make some kind of action film out of them trying to get their advanced soldier back.
Yeah. You're in too deep. I don't know who I am
He
anymore.
was a spy, but now
Yeah.
We need that technology back. Typical 80s movie.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I went through that. The guy, I remember looking at the guy, and he told me, I said I was worried because I didn't want to lose my family, and he said that I was a weak individual, and I didn't have the guts to do what was right. And after that, they asked if I wanted to meet again in 2 weeks, and I said no. And they drove me home, and I said sorry, and then I left. And then, yeah, that was it. So I know that they announced that probably one of my dad was in church the next time.
And your dad didn't know that?
Oh, he knew, because he drove me to work after that was all done. And he asked me how it went, and I told him I was probably going to get disfellowshipped. And then he asked me if I wanted to die with everybody else, and I said yes. And then he said, have a good day at work. And then I went to work.
Did he not talk to you after that then? Or?
Well, I lived with him for a short time. Actually, my dad talked to me after that. He technically shouldn't have, but I did it in these good terms, I guess you could say. Like, if he literally thought I was an apostate, he would have cut me out. But he knew I just made a choice, you know.
Right.
So I still saw him every once in a while. He let me move back in for a little while, too, before I moved back out. So he was really strict when I did, but...
How old were you when this all went down, if you don't mind me asking?
I think I was 18.
Jeez, that's a lot to
Yeah.
go through in here.
Yeah, maybe 19.
Just becoming an adult.
Yeah. And I was a shilty one, man. Like, it was tough. But, yeah, it's all done. The sick part is that it took 2 years for me to get it out of my head that this was the truth, that it wasn't the truth. And that's what they call it. They have that in your brain since you're a little kid. They call it the truth.
Mm-hmm.
You need to preach the truth. You need to live by the truth. And then, even now, I say we when I'm describing it. Like, it's part of me so deep.
Yeah.
But I was just so scared for those 2 years afterwards that I was going to get killed by God at any moment. That Armageddon was going to come and he's going to murder me and he's going to murder
And explain, like, some world events that you thought were that coming about.
Yeah, like, because there's a prophecy in the Bible that says when the king of the north invades the king of the south.
The king of the north.
Or the king of the south invades the king of the north. That's when the end of times will begin. And then when Bush invaded Iraq in what was it now? 2003?
1990.
Yeah, to get Saddam.
Right.
The second.
Oh, the second.
Desert Storm 2.
2000.
Yeah, the second Bush.
Yeah.
Wait.
Sorry,
Bush Senior
I
or
didn't
Bush
mean
Senior
that.
or Bush?
Oh, after the World Trade. So it was 2003.
Oh, okay, yeah.
2001.
Yeah.
Something like that.
2001.
September
That's when the
2000.
World Trade Center.
Yeah, because the World Trade Center came down, and my dad was like, I know things are going bad for you right now, but you need to understand there's not much time left for this world, and if you don't turn back now, you're not going to be on the right side when it's
That's
done.
the
I wonder
craziest
how
thing about these religions
use
is that they're like,
Yeah.
the world is coming to an end, motherfucker. Like, get your shit together.
And so, yeah.
Wow.
So when they invaded Iraq, I was living with my girlfriend at the time, and I remember having a shower and being like, how am I going to... I know I can go back to the religion because I've got a cute face and they'll trust me. But how am I going to trick her into coming with me? Just to save her.
Oh my god.
And then I had a ride to work with my mom, and she saw how fucked up I was by it, and she pulled over, and she's like, you need to understand, this is not the truth. They are not telling you the truth. You are not going to die. And that was the first time somebody literally said this is wrong, and it was the seed that started, this growth, this possibility that maybe life would go on. Yeah.
And obviously,
I think-
coming from
I
your
think
mom,
that-
her being one
that's
that went
what-
through it,
Yeah.
Exactly.
and somebody that obviously...
I think it needed to come from your mom.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because if it was just somebody, like an apostate or something like that. Then
Or like
That you
someone
weren't.
outside.
True,
If
true.
if a stranger came up to you and said, "No, it's all a lie,"
Yeah.
you'd hang on tighter.
Totally.
It's
Yeah.
like a pyramid scheme, right? Like, you try and get somebody out of a pyramid scheme, and
They're so deep in.
some people are just impossible.
Yeah.
And if you were maybe to get somebody who was already in the pyramid scheme to tell them that, then they might listen. But chances are probably not. But
Those people are
I know a
they're
guy that
crazy.
got lost to that. Unfortunately, he was a smart guy too. That's the weird thing.
Who's that?
Oh, a friend of my brother's gotten involved in a pyramid scheme.
Like Amway?
Quickstar.
Oh,
Quickstar.
is that the
Quickstar.
communications?
No, they sell like beverages and
They were close to.
it's just
They're a
horrible.
lot
Quickstar
like
beverages.
Amway,
Yeah.
I believe.
My dad was part of Amway.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, my dad bought into 2 pyramid schemes.
Oh,
no! Oh no! I used to make fun of Amway as a kid.
Me too.
My brother had a friend who gave us like Amway Christmas gifts, Christmas ornaments, and they all fell apart like in a couple days.
Of course they did.
Good dad.
Fucking shitty wooden Christmas ornaments. It looked kind of cool.
Scamway.
But, yeah. Right.
Yeah, the guy who started that actually went on to start a different company called World Financial Group.
Quick start.
And well, that was I think it's a subsidiary. What are the nicknames on there? Because let's just bring that up for a second. Because
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
One of my buddies and I
think his name is.
let's just see it here just a second.
Aries.
Aries. That's an awesome nickname.
Yeah.
You like Quick Freddy?
Yeah.
Quick Freddy's good.
Well, talk to your mom because she gave it to you. So.
No. One of my buddies, Aries, we got a phone call from a friend of a friend, actually one of my coach's boyfriends, I guess. And he phoned us up and said, "Hey, I got a business opportunity for you."
The worst opening sentence you want to hear from a friend.
Yeah,
ever.
and it's just, well, it's like it was just an acquaintance, and he says, "This is a really huge opportunity. I want you to get in on it." And right already, like the alarm bells were going off in my head, and this is when I was just starting a business with Aries, and so we're like, okay, well, let's see if there's maybe a potential for us to start a partnership or something like that. So anyways, we get called to this building, and on the sign it said World Financial Group, and so we walk in and they sit us down, and right as soon as we sat down, we got that culty vibe, that like people walking around like with like permagrin faces, even though they're like there was this like deep depression, like you could feel just seeping in the air, and everyone's walking around like, hey, do you need some coffee? Would you like some donuts? And like they're just giving you these
There's
faces,
just like this artificial hopefulness.
Oh, it's just like thick, and says right to their face, "No, but do you have any Kool-Aid?" And the lady just looks at us.
Oh, Aries is probably really sincere about it, right?
Aries was dead. He was
Kool-Aid.
dead. He was deadpan. He was like, "Do you have any Kool-Aid?" And the lady had no idea what he was talking about. Like,
was she thinking that he was being sarcastic and like was calling it a cult? Or?
No, she just looked at him like, "What are you, like a child?" Like, didn't register at all. Like none of the what's his name, Jimmy Smith, or the cult.
I thought that would have been awesome if she reacted like that. Like, you get out! It's just not a cult. And she like starts defending it. Like,
anyways,
that's what I was hoping you were gonna say.
So she just didn't know what he was talking about. She just kind of brushed it off, and sitting there giggling for a good 15 minutes while we were waiting for this guy to show up. Anyways, so he calls us in, and there's both of us sitting down there, and they've got their suits on, and they're...
So it's just like 1-on-1 or 2-on-2 kind of thing, or like a couple people talking?
It's 2-on-2, so it's like my friend of the friend is sitting there with his boss.
If I was like a lecture hall.
No, it's private, and they're like, "Listen, we've got a great product we're selling here," and I was like, "Okay, do your pitch. Tell me what it's about." And I was like, I already know what you guys are about, so I pretty much sniffed it as soon as I came in. And he starts going through and saying, 10% of people aren't investing their money properly, and our company gives them that opportunity to take their money and put it in something that's going to grow their wealth and make them wealthier in the future. And I said, "Wow, 10% of people don't invest their money properly." And he's like, "Yeah." And then he says, "With our product, it now enables people to possibly invest their money properly and become wealthy." And I was like, "So that's your product, is helping people become wealthy?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "So only 10% of the population does this?" And he's like, "Yep." I was like, "Well, you know what? I think I'd rather sell the other 90% of the shit that people are buying."
Thanks for telling me that. That's really good to know.
Than this 10% product that seems like it would be very difficult to sell to your friends and family, not only making it very awkward between you, but also, you know, maybe even driving a wedge and alienating them. Like, I don't want to. Like, and I said this straight to their face.
Yeah.
I was like, "Who wants to do that?" And then they're like, "Where do you work?"
They look over to the buddy that referred them. You're,
Yeah.
You brought this into the house.
Yeah. You take care of it. Yeah. Anyways, it was kind of a we left laughing, and they just kind of had red faces, and
Oh man, that would suck to be those.
and I didn't even feel bad. Like, I didn't even feel
why
bad
would
about the
No,
situation.
no.
So
The
You
shy
don't- you
thing is
shouldn't
people
feel
fall
bad
for it,
about that.
man.
yep,
People fall for it.
Yeah.
They're so
Yeah.
desperate.
yeah. They'll look for answers. They'll look for ways to get out of the situation. Be it religion, be it different businesses or investments, or like, oh yeah, they look for anything. Drinking.
Anything that's
Substance.
easy.
Yeah. Anything that's easy, nothing that's hard. A lot of people will try to take the easy route. So,
Yep.
can you talk to us about maybe? Okay, so church and religion are one thing.
Yeah.
And then I think being spiritual is another.
Yes.
Yeah. So can you tell us about? Do you want to put it on pause? Bathroom break? Yeah. We're doing bathroom break. Okay, and we're back from our little break. The question was, what I was asking is, there's a difference between religion, church, and spirituality. And do you have any experience or insights as far as like what you would consider the difference between, or what? How would you define the difference, or was there any
Can
experience?
I define my difference?
Yeah, go for
Yes,
it.
because
Yeah,
I've got a
please.
pretty good one that I
Phil.
came across. Is that religion is the business of spirituality. So people are always like spiritual. They're always seeking for something outside, like when they die and stuff like that. They have that like urge. And then when you create a religion, you're making a business of that idea. You're converting a lot of people to have that same belief, and you're charging money for it essentially, and you're creating. Yeah, I thought that was a pretty good quote.
Yeah,
It was
but
mine, but
yeah, interesting. But the business of spirituality doesn't necessarily guarantee a spiritual experience.
no. In fact, most of the time it doesn't. Most
Yeah.
of the time, most people don't have any type of spiritual experience. They'll say that they do, but they really.
But you're right in the notion that it implies almost like a completely physical, commercial, shallow aspect
Yeah.
to spirituality.
Yeah.
And the other
Almost the
thing
material
it adds,
end of it.
Exactly.
It's
like
kind of
commercial is the
disgusting.
perfect word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other one is that it just adds extra ways to segregate.
Yep.
Like, think about how close some religions are, but how much they hate each other. You know, how similar their beliefs are, but there's one or two things that they just can't get past.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if that wasn't there, and they were like, "Well, there are no rules to their religion aside from being good." Like, how much? I don't know.
But it's like, I mean, if you take it from like marketing or from commercialism, you got your HTC One and you've got your Apple iPhone and your Galaxy, and like how
Yeah.
similar they are. But you know,
Your
you
fanboys.
You pick
Yeah.
one because it's got the right software. Or you pick one because it supports expandable memory.
But we're just glad everyone has a phone,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm just
That's
glad
true.
you got a phone so I can get in touch with
You
you.
got a phone?
And be like,
Great.
"Where the fuck are you? You were late."
Really.
I don't care what type of phone it is.
Yeah. Everybody's got a phone. Yeah. So tell us about a spiritual experience then.
Okay, so I would say for a long time there was absolutely no spirituality. There was no morals. There were no ethics. I pretty much threw it all out the window.
So, sorry, I didn't mean to. Like, would you
That's okay.
like? You kind of went like the atheist route then. Like,
I would say
really
so.
scientific, materialistic.
Yeah, I don't know if materialistic ever factored into it because I was so poor. I don't think materialism ever factored
No,
into
no,
it.
I don't mean like in
Physical.
terms of like
Yeah.
commercial,
Yeah.
like wanting commercial goods, but just in terms of like looking at everything physically instead of
Yeah.
there being
yeah,
gray areas, I guess.
and it was about the moment, the now, and never considering the consequences of that because the flesh will die. All of this will go, and none of it means anything. So nothing matters. which is a really dark place to be, but it seems to be the natural extreme that people go to after that.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea of believing in any god after that, it seems hypocritical, no matter how extreme it is.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think it's only in recent years that this notion of spirituality has crept back in, and it's connected to this idea of humanism and ethics and an experimentation with like, I don't want to give all of it to to drugs and stuff, but you cannot deny the spiritual effects of a psychotropic drug, especially in the context of friends who you can talk to while you're all in it and you're all a part of it, and you are free to stop saying yes or no, is there a God or is there not a God, and just explore. So it's not just about removing your inhibitions about God, it's removing your inhibitions about atheism, it's removing your inhibitions about using a label like God. It's just exploring and talking and feeling and seeing where you end up after that. Because the moment you let go of what you think you believe is when you can dare to find something new.
Yeah.
And just open yourself up to those new little seeds. Like,
see, to me, it's kind of like it kind of like washes you of all the social programming that you have, and you get to become like a kid again. In a way, you're just like, oh man, this TV show that I'm watching is awesome, and this food that I'm eating is good, and this blanket wrapped around me, laying on the ground, and like just being silly, laughing about stupid things that might, like, normally you're thinking so much about, like, is this going to offend this person, or is this going to do that, or is this going to taint my image, there's your favorite word again, taint my image that this person has of me, and instead you're just like, I don't really care anymore, and you just,
like you said, explore.
Just get to explore, exactly.
Yeah.
because that's what you don't do. And society doesn't want you to do.
Don't want
right?
you to do that.
So having that freedom to explore and talk to other people about it, that's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
It is, because it makes you really, like, just think of, like, how grandiose we make everything, where it really doesn't mean as much as we give it the thought and the power, like the energy we spend on thinking about all these stupid little things, like a meeting with somebody, or finding a girlfriend, or getting a job that you need, or increasing your status at your job, or some stupid thing like that.
Yeah.
I think the important thing is, like, even when I was describing it earlier, is trying to disconnect the notion of spirituality from God. Like, the more I talk about spirituality, the more it starts to represent to me this idea of, instead of a world of 6 billion people, it's 6 billion pieces of a whole. That, to me, is starting to define spirituality. And that's, like, the first block on the game board. Like, okay, we're all one thing, one giant organism, and we all affect each other in some way. Where do I go from there? I have no idea. But it feels like one step forward in a direction that has become my spirituality. So less about a giant bearded man in the sky, and more about these conscious living beings on the planet. And I excluded things by saying 6 billion humans. There's a network, right? Every living thing is part of that.
Yeah.
Right, not just humans.
Yeah.
So, did you ever, like, since you quit your religion, have you looked for other religions, or you just, like, at any point have you thought, like, maybe Buddhism might be more along my path, or Hinduism, or something like that, like, just looking for something to get back into, or are you more just, like, more independent and kind of giving yourself, or allowing yourself to believe what you want, I guess?
Yeah, I would never subscribe to any one religion, at any ever again,
Mm-hmm.
but there's enough philosophies that they tap into that are interesting that I can take and
Right.
apply to what I believe in. And what I believe in, I think, is humanity and its power of belief. And if that power can be redirected and focused in a positive way, then it can do amazing things. Like the placebo effect, just as a small idea of what human belief can do. Like your belief that this pill will heal you can heal you.
Mm-hmm.
And
the
that's
placebo effect works if you know it's a placebo.
if you know it's a placebo.
Yeah.
Even if you know it's a placebo,
Even if
it
you know
works.
it's a placebo, it still works.
Now
That's pretty
imagine
powerful.
that's pretty fucking powerful.
Yeah.
Like 6 billion people believe in one thing. Imagine that power. That's impossible. I don't think 6 million people could ever imagine the same thing.
Create
Or
a
believe in the same
singularity
thing.
or something.
Yeah, exactly. But it shows the one true power that I understand or believe in right now is our belief. And now if I take that belief and then apply it to the world, I'm actually just kind of fumbling my way through this.
Go.
But if you take that power of human belief and recognize that humans aren't separate from the world and nature and just incorporate it, if we all can accept that, or at least a chunk of us, let's all like do our one little bit, then the things that can be done are insane. Like just imagine a few more happier people in the world, like a few thousand more, a few million more people who really do feel like we're all part of one organism as opposed to individual, selfish, living by the heat of the moment, the seat of our pants, instant gratification.
So, to me, my experience with like experimenting with like drugs and psychedelics and stuff like that, I should just say psychedelics because I haven't done anything else.
Weed's not a
is
psychedelic.
that-
Yes, it is.
Is it?
Is
Yes,
it?
it is.
Oh, I'm an idiot.
Absolutely.
Take that.
Oh, it most certainly is. I'm talking from
Sorry.
personal experience.
But where was I going with that? Oh,
I'm
is
sorry,
that
I
you
should've
get
interrupted
to you get to see that person like kind of who they actually are, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of those things that they'd be afraid of showing, you get to see that. So in a way, if they're opening themselves up to be that vulnerable to another person to go down that route, they are kind of becoming that type of person where they are fitting into that description that you had of those people that are looking to do better, looking to do good. Wouldn't you agree?
I like the people willing to do those drugs and put themselves in a vulnerable spot are the people who are open-minded enough and willing enough to change their perceptions and open up.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. The dangerous thing I keep thinking of is I don't want to suggest that people have to do drugs to get in this state of mind.
Oh, they do.
That's where you're wrong. No,
Because I don't want to.
No, they don't. Yoga is a good way of going about it. You can meditate.
Meditation, yoga, sports will do it. Like you can have experiences.
Rhythmic breathing.
Rhythmic breathing.
Dance,
Anytime you can
apparently.
find a way to get into a dance flow state.
All
oh my God.
basically altered states of consciousness is what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
things
right?
that pull you out of the system that we are stuck in, right? This
Vacation.
grid,
Going
this
on
cage.
vacation, I find, is really good for that.
Yeah.
Go out, you get yourself out of the country in a completely different culture, immersed in that
Different
in
environment.
what their perspective is, and all of a sudden, I think it's like a perspective change is a
Yes.
huge
It's
thing.
very important for humans to
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
And maybe a little less stimulation. Like just a fucking moment to let your mind relax and not be bombarded.
Absolutely. Yeah, I
Shit.
agree with that.
Mhm.
Yeah. I've stopped watching a lot of TV and stuff before I go to bed because it just keeps me awake. So, I'll do a bit of meditation or read a book or something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Way easier to go to sleep.
To kind of add to what you were saying about, there's a certain oneness to everything, and we are in this interconnected system. I hate to go kind of like Avatar style, but there is kind of that kind of sense where yes, there is things, and I've actually had a personal experience when I was on ayahuasca that I got to experience that oneness from the state of being it, and it's like I was
You have to save that for a later cast. You got to do the whole thing, man.
Okay, I'll save.
It'll be a long.
It'll be a long cast.
One
but
cast
awesome.
itself, but that needs to be.
We'll bring
Aries.
Bring Aries.
Yeah,
in.
get
bring
Aries
Aries.
and the doc.
The doc
in
will
on
be
that.
here.
Oh, and
And-
I have a friend.
I mean,
I was gonna try to make up a nickname for her.
okay.
Cause yeah,
We can
that'd
even
be
bring
really
her
great.
in if
That was
she's
just
interested.
gonna say she might be, but I don't know about the podcast thing. But it's anonymous. I don't know. We'll see.
Anyways, here's a little preview. I guess I found myself in a realm where I wasn't myself. I wasn't part of anything. I was not separate. I was not together. I was everything at once. There was no difference between me and this table. There was no difference between me and the cement wall. I was experiencing everything at its origin point. And I'll save the details for maybe another podcast, but that really got me thinking about how we got here and where we're going, and as humans, what does that mean? Like, do we have a responsibility because we were all part of this system? And it really it just made me think outside of me, and that was a very important thing for me. I gained a lot of empathy from that experience.
Do you look at the world still in that way after you went through that experience, or does that feeling start to fade? And it's harder for you to be like, no, remember.
No, I don't even work for it.
Oh, that's
It's
fucking
stuck
cool.
with me. Like,
That's
that
beautiful.
feeling is stuck with me forever. And I love it because it's given me that every once in a while it'll just come back to my mind. Just on its own. And I can remember how amazingly peaceful and how just everything was as it should be. And I don't have to work for that information to come back. It's just like this, it's set this 0 point, this neutral point that I can keep going back to and settle in and just experience this field where everything comes from. And it made me think twice about what I do, what I say, my actions towards other people, because we were all on that same plane.
Right.
That's kind of, and it was interesting. I won't go into any more details because it'll spoil it, but I learned a lot from that. That's a very, very spiritual experience for me, and it did come through the gates of psychedelics.
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of taking you on a different path now, somewhat, or it's just.
I'd say for sure,
Yeah.
a different path, and in the sense that I'm not the same person I was.
Like your goals
And
in
it's
life
for the
are
better.
somewhat different now.
I'm not
Same
materialistic as I was. I don't
Yeah.
have focus. I'm not so obsessed with
What people think
the
about
material world. What people, I really didn't. I wasn't really held on to what people thought of me,
you. Oh man, that's all I ever think of.
and
Not so much now. But I did. I used to. We were really bad with that. Oh yeah.
Well, when we were younger, I think that's like
No, not even
obsessive.
younger. Like just
Yeah.
coming here.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, I've progressively become an un-asshole. Like
Un-asshole?
I was an asshole. Like the doc, you know what I was like before, because the doc and I have actually known each other for 20 years. So
He's like nodding his head
he's
vigorously.
like,
Total asshole.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
You agree?
Non-committally nodding his head.
Yeah. So there's definitely a progression. I think that's
It was funny because before we went in,
you and Aries.
damn it.
Name
No, I
drop.
did it.
Name drop.
Me and Harris, we don't know how to put this nicely, but we think you could use a hint of empathy one time.
They told me that going into the ayahuasca ceremony.
What?
Oh yeah, I remember you guys saying that.
And I was like, really? I don't have empathy? I can't.
And then afterwards,
I'm
he's
trying
like,
to think
I
of,
never
like,
had empathy.
past chess if he did this, I feel like you did, but we didn't really hang out outside of work, really.
He knew what it looked like, so he could replicate it. But
It wasn't like
It was a automaton. Yeah. I think I know what empathy is.
Just tilt your head and raise your eyebrows.
just splash water in your face. Don't cry. Like, this is really serious. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So did you do any mushrooms or did you?
Yeah, mushrooms, acid. I did a lot of ecstasy for a while. MDA. I tried GHB.
Oh yeah.
What's that one?
G.
G.
What's
They just
that?
call it G now?
Yeah.
Damn! All these terms.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sass and Molly, G.
What's G?
It's this weird liquid that sort of tastes like a melted raincoat. It just kind of simulates.
That is quite the description.
Yeah.
that's the taste.
Nailed it.
Yeah. That's exactly what it was. Right when I sipped it, I was like, this tastes like a melted raincoat. It kind of simulates the effects of being drunk with like a bottle cap. And if you go beyond that one bottle cap, like I've roofied and just like puking my guts out.
That sounds
And danger, and you can't drink with it because it's a depressant already, so it just like could shut you all the way down. I hated it.
What's
I
it
never liked
called? What's the total term? What the full?
It's GHB we called it back then. It's like it's like a what is it? Amino acid?
I can't even remember.
It's an amino acid, I believe. It's naturally produced in the
It's
system.
an amino acid?
Amino, something like that.
Amino acid.
Amino, damn it! It's an alamo. Remember the
Remember the Alamino.
Alamino.
To remember it, think of Elmo on acid.
Amino.
Elmino.
Amino.
Amino.
Yeah.
I mean, no.
I mean, no.
That's probably better.
I'll remember that from now on. But all of these things, of all of them that I tried, this thing, I did most of them socially, right? So most of them were the intent of just having as good a time as possible in a big group as possible. So I never really got time to sit down and just enjoy the high, get inside myself.
Right.
And,
I think that's a huge
Terrence
part of
McKenna is
it.
a huge, preacher about doing psychedelics on your own,
Yeah.
in a quiet area,
Location,
no music,
space,
Yeah.
like,
or if you do music,
no music either.
Or
and
if you
if
do
intent,
have,
yeah, intent is huge.
if you do have music, then the music should be pretty neutral, no words or anything like
Okay,
that.
yeah, I
so
understand.
you're not feeding off of anyone else's
So,
energy.
yeah, it doesn't guide you particularly.
I understand.
I really understand that. Like,
Yeah.
wow.
It's
I
like
remember
being-
when I did the K and the M, like that really made me understand electronic music. Like I was like, holy shit, I understand trance and like and the name of trance and
It was
why
funny
it's
'cause
called
yeah.
trance. And like,
Like
Jesus,
20 minutes
it makes
earlier, he
sense.
couldn't stop ripping on it.
It's like, and EDM, and
I
hate,
electronic music.
yeah, and then after,
Damn
it's like-
kids and their music.
yeah, and then after, it's like, I get it.
Holy shit, guys.
Mixed table boards.
You really do have to be high to appreciate it.
Or in an altered state of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There you go.
Dance a shit.
But yeah,
Actually, I will say I've had some great sober dance times to
I
electronic.
I have some theories as to why Terrence McKenna was very good at breaking through. Like he could
Yeah.
almost do it like every single time.
Wow.
And I have some theories as to why he did that and how he did that.
Training?
It was it was in a sense it was a form of meditation, right?
Mhm.
He would sit there, and we actually kind of talked about this the other night about Google Deep Dream and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
What was actually happening? What I think is happening as far as when Terrence McKenna was sitting down there by himself with no noises, nothing else, and then all of a sudden he would hear like this noise or this tone come in and it would go. And it would just keep on going and going and going until he would it was inside his head and it would break through and he'd see all the geometry. There's the word, and it would
Name drop.
yeah,
Different name drop.
and you would see basically the I guess the spirit realm. What I think is happening is the brain's working. The brain's always stuck on now, but the algorithm, the searching patterns that the brain uses is sped up, and because there's nothing, and if there's no input going on in your senses, then your senses are going to grip onto anything it can.
Yeah.
And then as soon as it does, it's going to bounce that back between you faster and faster. And so it's just like highlighting a certain part of music or audio in an audio program and pressing play and then shrinking that place, that boundary until it gets shorter and shorter, so it starts sounding like a vibration, like zzz, until it turns into like a tone itself.
Basically a sine wave, which is it has no harmonic values. It's just one frequency.
Exactly. So basically you're getting this frequency bounce back at you until it turns into a completely internalized singularity that you're experiencing. So
that's why a lot of binaural beats are just like a sine wave at a certain frequency, because it doesn't have like any different harmonies that might be impeding that.
Yeah.
So we'll get like 440 hertz or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's why it's like you put it on, you're like, right? That's like the humming noise.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's hard to listen to for a bit.
You know, and maybe that's why humming is so nice when you're like on high or on something, is because it's relaxing. You're actually creating that sine waves to grip onto.
You're creating vibrations that you can sense your entire body, right?
Your body's
You're becoming
tuned in.
aware of how
Oh,
far,
that one time
how
where
far
we
it
had
goes and
that
comes back.
vibration.
Yeah.
You probably remember, right? Well, the first time that I was with you guys and I was playing guitar. What's his name? The other guy was playing bongos. He was playing the bongos and I was playing the guitar, and you guys were like, and then you started doing some chanting thing, and at one point there's like this crescendo of like a one kind of
Voice.
Yeah, that we were able to just
Orchestrated.
and it just blew you back. Like it was,
Sounds
I
awesome.
don't really know how else to explain it, but
Yeah.
it's like you could feel that in the room. And Aries didn't even have any in him, any drugs in him, and he could even feel that.
Yeah. He's blown back by that too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was pretty cool.
Yeah. And it was sorry, we got totally distracted there. So, yeah,
It's all right.
Tell us about like some of those experiences, I guess.
They were all, like I said, they're pretty social, so there was a lot of laughter and a lot of joking.
Do you have any visions?
I remember one time walking into a room with like the double bounce that Mickey Mouse used to do in like Steamboat Willie, and literally thinking I was an animated character. And I was like, "Everyone, look at me!" And they looked at me like, "What?" And I'm like, "Don't you see? Don't you see?" But there was one acid trip which we all did. We did way too much because we misunderstood how much we were ready to do, and we all became rather unhinged. But one of us just completely lost touch with reality, and I knew something was wrong when I was on the balcony. We're on the 12th floor, and she came out onto the balcony, and she grabbed me by the shirt and pushed me up against the railing.
Ugh.
And I was sliding against the railing going, "What's happening?" And I don't remember what she was rambling, but she said something and let me go, and I dove back into the house, and I pointed back, and I was like, something is wrong with her. And she just like started to spew all this stuff we couldn't understand. We had to guard the balcony door to make sure, because she kept trying to run out there, and she was just saying stuff we couldn't get, and then she would start laughing and she would start crying and just like spinning up against people and rolling against them, and she ended up crashing on the kitchen floor and just like muttering, and then every once in a while like her eyes were just like looking through, and every once in a while she'd come back down to earth and she would lock eyes with you and she would go, "I hate Ben Affleck." And then she was gone again, like rambling and spewing into life and this and that, and say something so profound, and all of us were so high on acid. We were like, "What did she just say? What did she just say? She said something amazing. Someone get paper, someone..." And it was just gone, and it was gone.
That's why you need to record.
Oh man, yeah.
that.
And then she was like, life and water and this and this, and then she said blood, and then she said blood, and she stood up, and everyone was like, no. And eventually she calmed down, and she went to another room with somebody else, and she cooled off, and we all went for a walk, which was one of those fucked up walks I ever took in my life.
because things were still moving.
Yeah. And my buddy tried to buy cookies, and he was on acid. And I'm like, all right, we're going to buy these cookies, and we're going to get out of there as fast as possible. And so we get in there, and it's like a line of floor, and I think they're all like stairs. So I'm just like walking on each line, like this. And I'm like, there's cookies, get the cookies. And so this guy gets the cookies, so we go up to the guy and put it down, and I look up, the guy's face is melting, because he got like acne or something. And it's like, and I was like, and then my friend is like, are these cookies on a sale right now for like a deal? I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Buy the cookies and get out! So I'm just confused and terrified. And eventually we get out. We walk next to this place called the Firescape, which used to be by my house. And the whole place exists to create clay pottery with your friends and family and put them in a kiln, and then you get to take the cup home. And I remember it was warm in there, and I pressed up against the glass, and I saw all these happy families and friends making ceramics. Just it was great. It was
Pretty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually
Yeah.
it is. Yeah.
That's
awesome.
But ever since then, like a lot of mushrooms is pretty much my favorite. There's always revelations and wonderful things and that happen with those, and I'm super excited to actually try Lucy again at some point and do the McKenna approach where it's a solitary one, very focused, and just enjoy it and see what happens and go down that road.
I'd like to try meditating on that.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Probably take you places. And you know, Terrence McKenna knew what he was doing. He did it so he could tell us how to do it.
And he was taught by like natives and stuff, like in their culture.
Well, he had a lot of.
Well, him and his brother went to the jungle, and
Yeah.
they don't know who kept them
right?
alive.
They don't what?
They don't know who kept them alive. Because all they were eating was mushrooms, but someone was feeding them real food.
Oh, really?
Someone?
Yeah, someone was feeding
Someone,
real
and they're like, because he's talking to Joe Rogan, and he's just shaking his head the whole time. And he's like, because he's like, someone, like, they're like, someone, and like, that's how screwed up they were.
Yeah. Dennis McKenna is on record as saying, we don't know who kept us alive, but someone did, because
Nice.
we were just like eating
Thank you,
nothing
by
but
the way.
mushrooms. They've got some pretty interesting stories. Like
listen to
together,
his brother.
they would. Dennis would say would come up with these crazy ideas. In one case, he said, I know how to create some kind of ball of energy or something like that. And he's like, I need you to help me do it though. And he sat down with Terrence, and they focused their energy on top of this plant or something. And then all of a sudden, this ball of energy actually manifested in front of them.
That's
And
fucking crazy.
yeah, they were like, nobody else saw it. So like, I mean,
Right.
but they
There
both
was a
saw
shared vision
it. It was a
between the two.
shared vision between them. Yeah.
Whoa.
So yeah.
I had an idea to read my buddy's mind when I was high one time, but then I just fell asleep. I was like, all right, we're going to do this. And then he passed out too quickly.
So you put him to sleep. You shut down his mind.
Yeah, maybe.
Telekinesis knockout.
Well, we've been able to have to share visions like quite
Crazy.
often.
It's scary.
Oh, the one where you told me with the Aries.
There was a case. I can tell that one now. There was a case where Aries and I were doing some. We were doing it was mushrooms, and we had just got to a phase of the trip where everyone in the room was kind of like calming down a bit, even though it was like still in the high part. And then
Oh, that was because we were all lying in a line, and we were just there's a wave of emotion that would go from one to then we'd pass it back and forth and then charge it stronger, and it was like we're just like, oh.
And we were actually saying like, okay, now pass it back, and like you could feel the energy going like through us. It was just insane.
That's awesome.
But anyways, this other case,
It was after that.
it was after that. That's my first one, I think. The second one.
No, second one. He didn't.
Aries said, yeah, I just had a vision. And I was like, we were all like, tell us. And he said, there was a man, very powerful, majestic, just had an ominous reassurance to him. Just a powerful being. And he was on a throne. And he was looking at me. And his right arm was up in the air. And his left arm was like held open in front of him, pointing towards me, and there was a stream of energy entering from his right arm and exiting through his left arm towards me, and there was this reassurance, like you'll know why this is happening when you know why. And that was basically all he said. I was like, and at that point, I lost my shit, because the mushroom trip before, I had the exact same vision.
On another earlier date?
On an earlier date, but I never told anyone about it.
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
Did the guy have a beard?
Explain that one.
No, clean shaven.
Clean shaven.
Very powerful robes, golden throne.
Shit.
Yeah. No beard, no crown or anything, just flowing hair. Just like everything was just like stuck in, like it was underwater. And then the area around the throne was fractaling out. It was going like and like moving away from it. And the energy was entering from his right, above on his right hand, exiting on it. It was the exact, to the detail vision. And I was just losing my mind. I was just like, what? Like, this can't, like, this can't be real, but it's real. Yeah. So, that goes to kind of, along with kind of a theme of our podcast and the direction where we want to go, where there's science, and there's things that we know that are for sure, and there's things that you can prove in a lab, and then there's the human consciousness factor, which we're not even close to really understanding.
It's a great mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, all of the crazy things and the experiences and sensations, the good and the bad, all of that shit, none of that can be experienced locked into any sort of system that says this is right, this is wrong. Like,
Exactly.
that
Especially
real
when
experience.
everything's a gray area and they're trying to tell you everything's black and white.
Yeah.
Black or white.
Life
You
is
need
in
to
the
figure
gray,
out
man.
why it's wrong yourself, kind of.
Yeah.
With certain...
From your own personal experience.
From my own personal experience, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember there was this one experience that they had where they were talking about this guy's daughter who was a Jehovah's Witness, and they were trying to help her before she left, and they were like trying to talk to her, trying to convince her that it was the wrong thing, like it would be bad for her. And then he's like, and then my daughter looked at me and she said, "Dad, I want to make my own mistakes." And the entire congregation was like, "Oh, why would anybody want to make a mistake or put themselves through that?" And I'm like, that's the most fucked up thinking I have ever heard in my life. Your goal is to go through life making no mistakes? What the fuck do you learn? So now this is a life.
She possibly said the most profound thing.
Exactly. Like, there was like 4 people in their audience who were like, fucking walked out right then and there.
Never to return.
Quick, Freddy just showed his hands over his head. His head was blowing up.
I was too young. I felt it as well. I felt sad for the girl. It's like, why would you put yourself through pain? But only now, thinking about it, I'm just like, whoa, this woman was a fucking prophet.
Yeah. Where is she now?
Yeah, who knows? I'm sure
That's
she's
crazy.
happy.
That's awesome. Well,
And you only truly understand it when you can empathize, right? Like if you can actually undergo that experience yourself.
Yeah.
So someone can tell you don't do that, but unless you
It's meaningless until you understand it
Yeah.
through experience.
through experience,
Yeah.
which is now one of my personal philosophies, is that true knowledge comes through empathy,
Empathy.
because you're experiencing it from that perspective.
Right.
So you know it from, like, basically instinct, from feeling. So
me and Chess were talking about like how empathy in a way is kind of like mind reading, because it's that part where you're talking to somebody and they can completely relate to what exactly you're talking about, and like you basically share that same feeling and that emotion.
It's almost telepathy.
Yeah, it is kind of like telepathy, because there are times where you'll be in such a good conversation or something, you'll say something, you're right on ball with this person, and then they'll say something that you either experienced or that like something that you might have just said, and you're like, that's exactly
You're
what I was
there
going to
with
say,
them.
and they just like everything. And I find that when you're in an altered state of consciousness and you're talking to other people that are in that altered state of consciousness, there seems to be a lot more empathy in that room, right? A lot more people, like, that's something that I just realized now is like when I was on like the mushrooms, like everything you would say,
Everything
the doc,
everything the doc would say.
everything Chess would say, the doc.
I like how we clear up whose nickname belongs to whose real name every time as well.
Well, I have to go through it.
Edits it.
And then that way, there's not just a blank space. I can actually.
Yeah. Anyways, anything I would say, anything the doc would
anyone
say.
in the room would say would be like along the same lines of what I was thinking at that point. It was almost like we're making whatchamacallit, like we're coming to the same conclusion at the same time, all collectively.
Wow.
Well, and
So
we're
it's like-
talking in a language that isn't limited by the words we've made up so far.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But like, did you guys feel that too? Like, it was pretty much
yeah.
like everything. Like, oh, this is what. Like, you just mentioned something. Like, the one guy, I forget what we're calling him now. What's his name?
Aries.
Yeah, let's say Aries said something, and then I'm just like, dude, I was just thinking like that exact same thing. So it's interesting, but like really, really hone in on what the same kind of wavelength that everyone else is on at that point.
I think partly sometimes when you're talking to people in day-to-day life, you don't want to be on the same wavelength as them. You're too focused on what you need, what you want, and you don't want to empathize. But then in those situations, we let those inhibitions go, and we actually want to empathize. We want to feel how they're feeling, and that's why we're open to it.
Yeah.
But if we can take that and bring it into our daily life, then there's more understanding there. And the more experiences we have, the more we're going to be able to relate to the people we talk to. Right?
Well, and this is what I was saying too, is it's like doing this, or you know, maybe going and having a trip or something like that is like very, very therapeutic, because it's like you're not having a shrink explain to you your feelings who is completely has no idea what the hell, like who you are, what you're going through. Like they're just a paid professional. Or you can like sit down with your friends, and then everyone else can like empathize and relate, and what you're saying and the advice that you get seems to mean a lot more to you.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Well, because it's being reflected back at you. I think that's just a personal.
And you're not scared to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
I feel
Well,
like
and a
sometimes
lot
I'm
of
scared to
times.
acknowledge it.
Well, I mean, some people are scared because that's where they end up having bad trips, right? Or quote unquote bad trips, and then after they've done that, they come out and they think, "Wow, that was a bad trip, but I'm so glad I'm alive, and I'm so glad I made it out. That I'm thankful for."
Well, the bad
experience."
ones, they're not fun at the time.
Yeah.
They're the ones you learn the most from.
Yeah.
Yeah. My experience is it's like a nightmare. You wake up from a nightmare and you're like, holy shit, that was really like crazy. And then you start to analyze it a little bit more, and you get something from it. Because usually, it's trying to say something. It's usually like some kind of anxiety or something like that you're going through. I was gonna say something, but I forgot.
Anyways, yeah,
We're getting kicked out, I think.
yeah. The
You want
buzzer's
to go?
going off.
No. You need to evacuate now before the airlock
Gas
opens.
is coming in.
Yeah. Well, I think that pretty much wraps it.
Yeah,
Thank you
that's,
so much. Quick
Holy
Freddy,
shit, we've only been talking on you for an hour?
No, that's because it was stopped. It was paused for a pee break.
Oh, so it's
Yeah.
almost 2 hours.
Yeah, we've been here for almost
Sweet.
2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we still got a little intro to do.
It's gonna be a long one.
Excellent.
But thank everyone for joining us.
Thank you for
Thanks, guys.
having us, man. That was
Yeah.
very fun. It was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, thanks, Big Freddy.
You're welcome,
You're welcome.
Mr.
Come
Phil,
back
Mr.
on at
Chess.
any time you like.
I
Thanks,
will burst
the doc.
in.
Same doc, we'll have you on for sure to explain, to talk.
Maybe the ayahuasca episode.
Yes, that's-
That'd be very interesting to hear.
Well, if you want to join us for that one, you can.
I'll listen.
Oh,
I
you'll
have
listen?
nothing to contribute. I didn't.
Yeah.
But I'll listen to it avidly. Absolutely.
If you've got
I'll
it,
definitely
because we will be the guests, and maybe you can co-host.
Oh, I would love to moderate.
Yeah,
Co-host it?
Co-host?
Because I have questions.
Okay, co-host with.
I
Phil
think
here.
that would be a good idea to have that one with a few people.
Yep.
Because you would get, like, it'd be interesting to hear other people.
Yeah, even if we should just keep doing it, even if someone doesn't have anything to say, right?
Oh,
Just
yeah.
so like create a paradigm.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep. So yeah,
Cool.
that sounds like a great idea. We'll have Quick Freddy as our special guest co-host.
Yeah.
And the Doc.
Turbo
and-
X3.
Turbo X3. And the Doc and myself, Chess, and Aries will come in and we'll do a talk. Stay tuned. Our next episode is going to be
Spooning.
It's going to be very scary.
Is it spooning? I can't remember.
No, it's not going to be scary. It's not going to be scary. I'm not going to say that. We've
Too bad, I already said it.
we're excited to announce that we will be having on a special guest from Wolf Paranormal.
Wolf Paranormal Investigations from Calgary, and they also got a location in the Okanagan as well. And they look like a bunch of interesting cats with there's a good team there.
It's paranormal investigation.
Paranormal
Investigation
investigations.
team.
They go along out of their own, like they don't get paid or anything like that. They're not a reality TV show, and they go around and investigate paranormal situations from clients that will call them up and do like haunted house or something like that. And they go and they undergo and basically go through everything and explain to them what might have been causing the issue. Might not be a paranormal thing. It might just be an issue with plumbing or with air conditioner. A lot of times it's just something scientific, like some odd sound that's caused by things. But
even
we'll
so,
get more information from
even
the
so,
crew when we talk to them.
Yeah, even so, I can't wait to dig into those stories. I want to know about the team members' experiences, what led them to become part of the Wolf Paranormal team.
That's gonna be huge, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
That's gonna be exciting. I'm really excited for that. I think that'll be a really interesting conversation.
So,
and hopefully, we can maybe go on a tour.
we'll
We'll
see.
That's my.
We'll see. We'll talk to them.
Really hope we can do that.
Yeah. Once again, thank you, Quick Freddy, very much.
My pleasure. Thank
It
you.
was an amazing chat.
Sweet.
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you
your
for sharing.
personal-
Yeah, you're welcome.
Like that.
Thanks for letting me talk.
Yeah. And the Doc, again, thank you. And Phil, thanks for being my trusty co-host.
Yeah. Oh, you're calling me.
What?
Yeah, but he's your co-host.
Oh, I see.
You're each other's co-host. He's not the host and you're the co-host.
I guess in a way I was trying to think.
You're both wearing
when
the
you
pants
when you were
right
about
now.
to say it, I was
Yeah.
trying to think of like who's in charge, and that title was who's in charge.
No, God, no.
No, if he
Not
said
that I really
sidekick,
care. I just did it just to bother you, but never mind.
Yeah.
if he said
I'm
sidekick,
always
he'd be in trouble.
confrontatious
Yeah.
as much as I possibly can.
Okay.
Thanks, Jess.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
See you next time.
Bye.
Have a week.